Republicans honing their anti-impeachment strategy ahead of Wednesday's House Judiciary hearing. Some top lawmakers are ramping up calls for Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff to testify under oath as the first GOP witness. Watch.
If he chooses not to, then I really question his veracity and what he's putting in his report. I question his, the motives of why he's doing it. It's easy to hide behind a report. It's easy to hide behind a gavel in intelligence committees, behind closed-door hearings. But it's going to be another thing to actually get up and have to answer questions.
This as Democrats are pointing out that the president himself is refusing to participate.
If the president would like to come forward and present an actual witness who can provide some exculpatory information as to why the aid was withheld, we all would welcome that.
Power panel now. Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Legislative Affairs in the Obama administration, and Jason Meister, Advisory Board member for President Trump's re-election campaign and columnist on townhall.com. Jason, I'm going to start with you. So we are at a point now, a couple of days away from the next set of hearings and all of this. The White House, the president at NATO at this point, and your reaction.
Look, Harris, the entire impeachment process from the beginning has been tainted, unfair, and unprecedented. And I think that it is very important that Adam Schiff come under oath and testify, because we want to know what was his part in orchestrating this whistleblower complaint. Remember, the whistleblower complaint was supposed to go to the Director of National Intelligence. That was the first contact that this whistleblower was supposed to make. We know, according to the New York Times, that never happened. So what did Schiff have to do with the whistleblower complaint? Was he involved in hiring the lawyers that obviously drafted this report, the anti-Trump lawyers that drafted this report? Because this really is the fruit of the poisonous tree, and it's clear that Adam Schiff planted those seeds. We need to get to the bottom of that. The whole thing is illegitimate. So,
Joel, why not just do what Jason is talking about? Why not set the example and have Adam Schiff testify?
Well, Harris, because what Jason just described is not accurate. It's not true. The Inspector General of the intelligence community, of the DNI, he received a whistleblower report as is required by statute. And the whistleblower's report was deemed credible enough that this Inspector General shared it. But the Inspector General actually should have shared it with Adam Schiff right away and held on to it and shared it with the White House, which is the major problem. But what we've seen since that time is that all of the contents of that report have been corroborated in public, open testimony that Republicans have participated in. There's no hiding the ball here. It's very public and it's very clear. And I don't see why the White House is so concerned about Adam Schiff. They should be concerned about the actual substance of the story.
I have to say, this is not a Rorschach. I mean, when it's reported that Adam Schiff's staff actually met with this person, early on in the process, maybe not Adam Schiff, as he says he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. He said that time and time again in the House Intel Committee impeachment inquiry hearings. But it's not a Rorschach. I mean, you can look at the fact of that and go forward. I want to scoot to this, though. Democratic Congressman Jeff Vandrew continues to voice his opposition to impeachment, saying what the president did was, quote, unsavory but not impeachable. He's a New Jersey lawmaker from the southern part of the state, my home state, going on to say that the effort to remove President Trump is un-American. Quote, to some folks, that's reminiscent of what was done to kings and queens many years ago. Everything our country doesn't stand for, end quote. Jason?
Well, I would agree with him on most of that. The only thing I would say, it wasn't unsavory. It was exactly what I would want my president, expect my president to do. Having said that, I think there's House congressional Democrats that won in Trump districts that are going to have to answer to their constituents come November 2020. And I think he's a breath of fresh air, and I think some other Democrats should follow his lead. Because as Barack Obama told Republican Eric Cantor, the whip at that time, in 2008, elections have consequences, and at the end of the day, I won. This is all about relitigating the 2016 election, and I think it's time for Democrats to get over this and move on.
I want to get this in and get your reaction to it, Joel. Let's pop up that quote from President Zelensky in a new interview. President of Ukraine says, I never talked to President from the position of a quid pro quo. That's not my thing. I don't want us to look like beggars. But you have to understand we are at war. If you're our strategic partner, then you can't go blocking anything for us. I think that's just about fairness. It's not about quid pro quo. You say what?
Yeah, well, President Zelensky has absolutely no power in this relationship, and he's going to say what he needs to get the aid moving, and he's not going to cross Donald Trump right now. But the idea that this is relitigating the 2016 election is really a stretch. The president engaged in essentially bribery and using our taxpayer dollars to help him win a re-election. That didn't happen in 2015. That happened in 2019, and it should be looked at by the Congress. That's why we have the Constitution.
Looking at it. And they're
exactly.
going to have to show evidence of that. But if the president of Ukraine said it didn't happen, Jason, last word.
The other person on the end of the phone call, right, said that it didn't happen. And if you looked at some of the witnesses, like Sondland, he said he spoke to the president. The president said, no quid pro quo. I want nothing. I want nothing. This is just a hoax, another one, just like the Mueller investigation, and we need to get to the bottom of what Schiff has orchestrated here.
Many American civil servants who took an oath, who testified, said it did happen just like that.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you both. We'll go round and round.